Have you ever heard the concept, the idea, the statement, God is love, and we are love? Have you ever heard that? What does that fucking mean? Yeah, nobody really knows. Everyone's just like, oh, that means God loves us, and that, but I don't know. But then also, like, the same people who think God loves us also think God casts those in hell, people in hell, How can God be all loving and all merciful if he condemns and judges his creation? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, if you ask me, but here we are. Anyway, today we're talking about why unconditional love is the foundation of all of existence. But it just is. I'm sorry. But let's get right down to it. Coming from that 3D paradigm, right? Everyone's separate. Everyone's a separate individual. We're not connected at all. Everything physical is just physical, and that's all it is. That's the paradigm that doesn't understand unconditional love. It's just not possible for them to understand it at that level because everything is a transaction. Everything is a transaction. And it is a give and take, right? If I give love and I don't receive love from that person I just gave love to, was it even worth giving love in the first place? Yeah. Or, and a higher understanding even is like, it feels wrong if I give love and I'm allowing that other person to be the way they are with no judgment, but they're not returning it. So it feels like there's a perception that I'm putting them above myself. But the reason that it feels like that is because in that scenario, you're not realizing that all the love you ever needed and ever will need is love that you can give to yourself. So it's not about unconditional love only for the other. It's about a balance, a healthy balance of unconditional love for myself and the other and all of existence. You see, if you look for all the reasons why the foundation of everything isn't love, you'll of course find tons of reasons, but you're also the creator of your own reality. So in a perfect universe where unconditional love is the foundation, you would be allowed to explore and believe anything you wanted to. So if you want to believe that the world is not loving, if it's all just a biological, scientific accident, and where there's no purpose or meaning in anything, you will experience that reality. That's just how it'll be. If you believe in God, but you also believe that God judges and condemns, well, guess what? If God judges and condemns, how could I love unconditionally? Because God doesn't even do that. Well, maybe this God isn't such a good guy after all. Anyway, no, that's because it's just a lower vibrational understanding of love. It's an attachment style understanding of love. It's, I love you and I don't want you to leave and you can't leave me and you have to love me in a certain way. Otherwise, how am I going to keep loving you? But I'll forgive you and I'll still love you, but you still need to treat me well. And, and it's like, you do need to be treated well. The thing is, when we get attached with love, when we're with someone who ends up being abusive, manipulative, verbally or physically, or any of those things, we get stuck to them and we think we have an obligation to stay with them, or that they're right for us, that the right person isn't just out there for you, that you have to make it happen. You have to force it to happen. You have to pick someone and fucking beat it into you that you love them and they love you. And even though they treat you terribly and definitely don't act like they love you, that they really do love you underneath it all. And that it's all okay, But that's what we need to get away from. That's the wrong type of love. That's not the love that should be lasting forever in marriages. It's not. It's just not. It's not healthy. And if you want to attract that loving, beautiful, holy union that is meant to be, is right for you, you have to heal and become whole, because otherwise you're not attracting a whole and healthy person. If you are needy and attached to people and certain things and all this stuff, and if you're not okay with yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you are always looking for something outside of yourself to feel fulfilled, to feel happy, then you'll always be using others. You see, it's not a direct form of manipulation like a classic narcissism would look like, right? If in a classic narcissist situation, they're taking and not giving anything back, and it's very obvious, to the observer that that's what's happening there, and the person who is there trying to give love in order to get love, the empathic person in that relationship, is still in that victim mentality. They think that in order to get love, they have to give love to something or someone else, and they have to gain the approval and the validation for their own existence. And I know this because I was that for a long fucking time. And it was so difficult to see in those situations how I needed to stand up for myself, how I needed to claim my power back, because I was giving it all away. I was giving all of myself away, and there was nothing left. And I just became this shell of who I really am. It wasn't me at all. It was a very damaged and wounded version of me, And so we have to get to this higher understanding of love. Love isn't just a feeling. It's not just an emotion. It's not just a transaction, okay? Not in that sense where if I give love, I expect or demand love from what I gave, from the thing outside of me that I gave love to, right? Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that external love, that external validation and approval. So if we want to understand love at a higher level, we really have to understand what the universe is, what God is. We have to expand our idea of God, because the religious idea of God is an idol. It's too small. They think God is this being, this higher being above, who is watching and judging, like Big Brother, just sitting there looking at a bunch of monitor screens, looking, look at what Becky's doing today, or look at what Johnny's doing over here. You better shape up or you're gonna burn forever. I created you, and you didn't have any instructions coming into this, and good luck, but fuck you if you don't believe or do the right things, right? No, that's not what God is. Time and space are dimensions, constructs. They're not eternal, okay? They had a beginning, they will have an end. So that means the awareness behind those things, the creator behind those things, is eternal. There couldn't be something here that's finite, which is the world that, at the 3D paradigm we live in. We think everything's finite. Everything has a beginning and end, and even the universe. But how did it get there if there's not something that is not bound by space and time? So it clearly implies that there is something eternal, something infinite, something immortal, something that didn't have a beginning, that doesn't have an end. And what is that? That is God. That is the awareness, the intelligence behind everything. And there's only one thing, one awareness. And that one awareness is everything and everyone. So at the most basic foundational level of existence, everything is one thing experiencing itself. And that truth, that wisdom, tells us that even though we have the perception of an individual self, the truth is, I am you, and you are me. We're just a different expression of the whole. And so in that way, when I give love to myself, I'm giving love to all that is, to everyone who is here, to everything. And when I give love to a perceived other, I'm also giving love to myself, to everything, to everyone. And that's why Jesus said to treat others to love others as you love yourself. But the problem is we don't love ourselves unconditionally. And so how could we love others unconditionally if we don't love ourselves unconditionally first? You see the issue there. You can't love others unconditionally if you don't love yourself unconditionally. Because if you're not, the only way to meet all of your basic needs as a being existing here right now, you have to love yourself unconditionally. You have to give yourself everything that you need, so that you're not requiring anything from anyone else. You're not placing expectations on them. That would be unfair in that type of universe, in this type of universe. And so unconditionally loving the other is the same as loving ourselves. When we give love, we receive love. So always give love and always be open to receiving love. Don't close that off. And understand that anytime you feel burnt out, you feel like you've given too much, that is your sign that you are not giving yourself all that you need. That you need to go take time to rest, to be alone, to tell yourself all the wonderful things about yourself and mean it, believe it. I know at first it's hard because we've been so conditioned to not be that way. That's the program. That's the 3D program that is just conditioning you into thinking you're separate, into thinking you're not worthy, into thinking, your value isn't innate and intrinsic, when it really is. Because we're all born into this life with the wound of separation. And that is original sin. Because sin isn't just doing something bad or whatever you think is moral or immoral. Sin is self-betrayal. That's the original Aramaic interpretation or translation of sin. It's a self-betrayal. And so when we come into this life, we knowingly know that we're going into a place where there is a veil of forgetting. And it's all part of this game. It's not so serious. It feels serious because we've been taught to think it is. But no, it's a game for souls to learn, to grow, to experience more of who they are, to challenge themselves, to go to a place that is really the training ground for souls. Like, you always know who you are outside of here, but when you come here, you knowingly and actively choose to forget so that you can have this experience. And because that implies that your free will is still intact. You chose to come here. Even if you never wake up to the truth of who you are, you still chose to come here. You still learn the lessons. And yes, you still have to heal the trauma and the difficult things you went through. And there is karma accumulated and all this stuff, but that's not the point of this video. The point is, this universe is a perfect universe. But you have to choose to see it. You have to choose to believe it. And you have to choose to look for the reasons why it is. Your whole life, you've been looking at the reasons why it isn't. I did that for 30 years. I looked at all the reasons why the world sucked, why my existence sucked. I looked at every negative, I looked down every negative avenue. I said the worst things to myself. I was that. I did that. And guess what? Didn't go so well. I barely made it out alive. And that's the same for a lot of people. And the truth is, a lot of people don't make it out. Don't make it through that darkness. Don't make it through that negativity, and then find the light on the other side. But that's what we're here for, is to know ourselves, to remember who we are. We forget so that we can remember. And everything is one thing. So would it make sense for, God to not love itself? You are it. It is you. There is no separation. Separation is the illusion. It's the wound we knowingly come into experience and to try and overcome. And how do you do that? There are two truths. One is an eternal truth, and one is the false truth. And whichever one you believe will be true for you in your individual reality. The false truth is fear. And the eternal truth is love. And you have the choice. Do you want to perceive everything out of fear? Or do you want to perceive everything out of love? What feels right to you? What feels loving to you? What makes you feel good? Believe that. Your emotions are an indicator. They never lie. If it makes you feel bad to think these thoughts, to have this belief, then you can be sure that somewhere, no matter how deep down and suppressed it is, there is some type of fear there. There is some type of falsity that is not the eternal truth. So look for the reasons to embrace love. Look for why this universe is a perfect universe, and realize that if you remain closed off to it, you'll never see it. You'll never feel it. You'll never experience it. But if you're willing to give it a shot, if you're willing to be just a little open to it, then you can start to really have some experiences and realize for yourself that there is a never-ending eternal wellspring of love that is the foundation of everything. And when you give love, you will receive love. But only when you're giving love without expectation, without expecting to receive. You give love because you are love, because everything is love. And when you come from that place, the universe has no choice but to reflect back what you are. And so if you know your love and you give love freely, guess what? Then you're going to receive love freely. And it will be a beautiful existence. So I hope this opened up your mind a little bit, shifted your perspective a little bit. And if not, that's okay too. It's your choice. Your power is in your perception. So I love you unconditionally. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.